I had forgotten a few things from my last video again. We have a new sponsor now. And it's not Daniel Brothers Child Coffins. It was much like the child's care for their well-being, too short-sighted. But forgive me for standing on the soapbox that you buried your child in. I think it would be more useful to create a comically large ant farm that you can throw the bodies in and have them picked clean. What we can do is take the skeleton of that person and create funny stop-motion animation of them opening doors and drinking coffee. With hijinks and goofs, of course. And if I could be honest for a moment, when was the last time you saw your dead child? His birthday? Christmas? Imagine if I put a perfectly good mansion around a half-decomposed corpse, and I told your homeless friend that there's an infinite dick-sucking chamber in there, and a McDonald's. And I told him that he couldn't stay there, because I visit it twice a year. You would call me a gay retard, or just plain unreasonable if you don't want to be colorful. I'll be honest, I do have some skin in the game. I'm slightly miffed. Because instead of a graveyard that I live next to, it could have been a Dairy Queen. I like blizzards. I don't know my dead child. Missed opportunities are something that I dwell on quite a bit. I also do fancy myself as a job creator, and I think my ideas open up many avenues for entomologists and animators and essential service workers. You should be kind to your kid when it's alive, but when it's dead, cut off the hair and mail it to a cancer survivor. The rest could be placed in a dog food plant. I digress. We're now sponsored by my favorite streaming service, MRE Gort. Experience the taste of military-grade food without your 18-year-old wife being passed around like a Christmas ham. Join this dirty dog every Saturday as he tastes the many varied, robust, and sometimes bizarre, authentic Army cuisines. Cuisines like My Light Massacre, The Highway of Death.
That's war. And that's what people have to understand.
Abu Ghraib Incident.
You could have stopped this, you know. You could have stopped all of this.
Nigaloaf. I know Gort personally and sexually in real life. I have to say he's a beautiful round man with a quiet but stalwart resolve that inspires many.
Also, Gort, if you're listening, are we down for the tag and drag on your wife tomorrow? Just asking. I know she broke her leg and you're worried that you're gonna have to take her to the glue factory, but just wondering, opening up my schedule if you are.
If you want to help out Gort's wife, she came down with the bird illness after a couple of Chinese foods. You can go to xhamster.com and type in BBW cow used properly into the search bar, and it'll become apparent what you need to do next. Thank you. I know people don't like asking for advice on this channel because you don't want to seem weak or unknowledgeable. And that's okay, but weakness is always looking to be exploited, however. And it's better that I do it than your rival gang member, Lil Jojo. So I have a piece of advice for you. He knows you use that handicap stall when you take your espresso dumps. He knows that your flag is that red cardigan that you got off Nordstrom Rack clearance. You're a little too predictable. And personally, while I think that cardigan's a little tacky, pragmatically, it's a good choice to not wear the same colors every day. You don't deserve a sucking chest wound for taking advantage of a good sale. No one does. Your routine is going to be your downfall. But if you change that, I know that you'll be able to retake Grove Street. Your lucky numbers are displayed on the screen.
15, 1, 2, 19, 7, 25, 6, 13.
Here's some advice that all of us could use. I had a friend come up to me the other day with the sniffles, and I asked him, "What's wrong, little Bim Bim boy?" as I cupped his breast and I kissed his lips and mouth. And he pushed me away and said no faggot activity would be permitted within 15 feet of him, and I never understood that. The implication that it's gay to kiss your friends and cup their breast. It's commonplace in Europe, and that's one of the least gay places on earth. But it wasn't about the gay. It was about someone that he lost long ago. The one that got away. He had tried contacting her multiple times and did everything a cliche lovesick person would do, like send her cups of blood and smear shit on the vinyl of her house, and play Steely Dan. And he asked him, well, what do you miss about her the most? Was she funny?
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit. I'm horny as fuck, man. I'm a freak, man. Like, for real.
He hated her humor. She thought it was amusing to sneak up behind people and say roar, while playfully clawing at their back. And she also enjoyed Too Mad. I thought, well, she must be interesting, right? No. He said no. Told me that all she did was fill her diaper while she watched Inuyasha. And this was in 2009, by the way. This fling. I was puzzled at this point. She must have been pretty, right? Nope. Incorrect. She was mestizo. Statistically impossible. Mestizo, and she smelled like a recently dispersed cafeteria. I was running out of reasons. Why on earth would someone like a woman like this? Rich? Well off? High social standing? And she was a pedophile that worked at GameStop, he tells me. Well, she had to be nice. Maybe she's just really kind and generous. And he repeated himself, more succinctly, GameStop pedophile. I gave up and asked him to explain why this was the one that got away. Well, she liked me back. And that hit me. The one that got away was the only one that came. I took a moment to pity the man. But then I realized sympathy lost us the 2017 Super Bowl. When you think you're a loser, you'll will that into existence. The Falcons taught us that. So I decided to not feel sorry for him and asked him what instead he wanted. He said he wanted a girlfriend. Which begs the question, why her? There's no shortage of GameStop pedophiles down here, and matter of fact, you can't throw a rock without hitting one. Most of them are better people, by default, from what he tells me about the woman. And he said, well, she was a girl that was genuinely interested in me. and also wasn't an ogress. This was high school. I thought back for a moment and realized his issue. He was never forced to interact with women after that. In high school, it's essentially a reaction chamber where you learn lies about things like the Holocaust. But aside from that, you place 100 reactants into a cramped space for hours and observe what products were made. Now, if you were to take those reactants and isolate them, you would be hard-pressed to see if anything happened spontaneously. So it seems like he's only had one successful yield in his life, only by virtue of how little he interacted with others past high school. I asked him about his daily routine, and he told me he worked alone at a menial labor job. He wasn't in school or looking for better employment, and with that he always felt drained at the end of the day. So he drenched himself in Mountain Dew and Captain Morgan, and sequestered himself from the outside world. He played video games with cute anime girls that were actually very large men, and he had forgotten how the company of a woman felt. This spiraled into intervals of loneliness, broken up only by sleeper and sobriety. Nights got longer, the days melted together. It's hard to get out of that. It's really hard. But going back to your pederast ex, it's just not healthy. If I could read you an excerpt from Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground. Even urine quenches drought, and I am a thirsty little flower. My gay friend is doing fine now. In fact, the last thing he told me was that he was going to the post office to show off his new AR-15. Maybe he'll find someone there that shares his same interest. I hope so. When you're a bad fisherman, anything looks like a catch. And how do you get better at fishing? That's right. Government-mandated fishing spots where fish have to show up and hook themselves on your line. Thank you. Robo Eugene Debs 2024. But seriously, to the fellas that want to be in a relationship, you have to talk to them. Women, or people, whatever. Chances are, your first relationship is going to be with a rat woman, or person, or whatever. And that's okay, because you're not a catch yourself. You smell like soup mix, and you're a libertarian. You're balding like Mewtwo King, but you lack the mastery and technical skill over a child's party game. You're wet clay. But clay can be molded. So, mold yourself into something that isn't a Discord moderator. If you want better results, that is. When you get done, and you still feel hollow, we'll talk more, but for now, try that.